I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching the Apothecary Diaries Season 2, Episode 6. People know that we make medicine now. That's not good. I don't have a good feeling about it.
I, at the moment, don't feel too scared specifically because of the person that found out. Like, I feel like we're being led to be scared because from even the beginning of this entire series, it's been like, oh, well, don't tell them we can read. Don't tell them we can write. Don't let people find out you could make poisons if you wanted to, you know, but then characters are learning that Mao Mao could make medicine and poison and aphrodisiacs. And why am I going to be scared now?
Because
over
Jinchi
this
just said
yeah.
2 minutes before, don't let anybody know, and now we know. I'm so scared.
But I don't feel like it's going to be this woman that's the issue.
That's fair.
Maybe.
You ready?
Yes.
Sweet.
I feel like if anything, this could be a good opportunity. Like if it ends up where this lady at the clinic isn't evil, it could be an opportunity for Mao Mao to maybe learn a little bit more. Because obviously these people are incredibly talented, the women that are at this clinic.
We also had that, like, potential loose end of, why didn't you get shown this place when, you know...
Which, as Mao Mao said, maybe because of the discontent of being kidnapped, I wasn't paying attention. I still find that hard to believe. I feel like even through discontent, her curiosity always prevails.
Who is Kevin Penkin? I saw that name in the intro, and it's so familiar. I don't know why. It could be one of the composers of Made in Abyss? I don't know.
Ooh.
Well,
she's giving...
Okay. Admiration?
Jinshi's not gonna be happy about this, I don't think. Shenlu. Oh. And if she's from the same region as Lady Gyokyu. What if it's shit?
Yeah.
But already Mao Mao is risking it. The idea of what the caravan also could have brought, you know.
She suddenly went missing. Where is she? What, a salamander? A gecko?
I don't think she's gonna want to see it.
Oh, it'll regrow.
This is the room we saw like 2 episodes ago, really quickly. She's like being quarantined there?
I guess. Oh my god.
Ooh, using the doctor.
I love it. He couldn't save the prince. Wow.
I didn't even think about this dynamic.
I love not being able to see Mao Mao's eyes.
Tall.
Oh.
Did we give her stilts? Like, what's happening?
So. Yet.
And yet. Sister? Cousin? Oh my... What? Why Lihua? Why she was picked? Like... Spinning.
Oh my god. Mao Mao.
Oh my god. Is she already dead? Oh, just really...
Oh my god. What is it, like tuberculosis?
What if it's a foreign ailment brought by
Pneumonia?
the caravan?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Too many secrets.
What the
True
fuck?
goals.
Holy shit. Oh my
We got Luiha kind of looking at her. Oh my god.
god.
And to
Look at
just
the
come out and
shoes.
say it like she
Yeah.
did.
Jesus Christ, Mao Mao.
She just ran in there.
I love that they remembered not to add the freckles when she washed her face.
Especially if it's contagious.
Yeah, and she looks great. Everyone. Oh my god, this is about to be fucking tense.
The evidence.
Will Liwa cover for her?
Cousin. Ooh. Cousin parallel that I
Okay.
didn't even picture.
So it's known.
禁止された交易品で何をしようとしていた。
何のことかわかりません。確かに病の下女を物置に寝かせるように指示しました。ですが、それは感染を防ぐためです。
Deny, deny, deny.
では存じませんでした。
But you're the head lady in waiting.
それよりいきなりやってきてリファ様に合わせろと言った挙句、他の宮の物置を漁る方が問題では。そもそも病人に食事を運ぶくらいでしか人の寄りつかない場所です。これらが私のものである証拠でも。
Purchase logs?
熱に浮かされ朦朧としていた下女の発言をどこまで信頼できますか。
熱に浮かされていたことは知っている。
Oh.
実にお優しい。わざわざ初めて見に来てくださるなんて。それなら体に香油の匂いが残っていてもおかしくありません。
She wasn't wearing any before. Why do you smell like it now?
香油の匂いなどしなかった神様でもこれ以上出過ぎてはいけない。分かっているが腹の立つことはあるものだ。今日の神様はこの香油と同じ匂いがします。念のため確かめさせてもらえませんか。
Holy shit.
Will Lihua stop it? Like,
そうですね。私などが触れて良いわけがありませんでした。違う方に調べてもらいましょう。
Oh my god.
その辺で私に任せてもらえないかしら。
Oh.
リファヒ。
仮に堕胎剤を作ろうとしたならば、帝の子を殺すのと同義です。
それはどの妃の子であってもですか。
もちろん。
たとえ真の狙いが私であっても。
She knows.
そういうことか。リファ様の服、玉葉様が着てい
Yeah.
る。
tied up top.
道理でろくな侍女がいないはずだ。意図的にそのようなものが集められていたのだ。
Wow.
The stupid were
Jesus
gathered.
Christ.
Ignorant.
あなたは一度も私のことを妃扱いしてくれなかったわよね。国母としてふさわしくない。そう思っていたんでしょう。あなたと私、どちらが妃になるか最後までわからなかったものね。
The face.
The expression.
から目線で言ってるの。
そういうところが昔から嫌いなのよ。勉強も作法も私の方ができた。他にもいっぱいあなたよりも私の方が優れてるのに。
We didn't know until last minute who it was gonna be.
周りはみんな胸の大きさがいや妃としての器が違いすぎる。
当主の娘だからあなたは私よりも上なわけ。そんなわけないわ。私はずっと国母になるべき人だったのよ。
それは自白と捉えていい。
Oh my god.
こうなせず放ってかれるといい。リファー
Goshen. You man.
カンガンごときが汚らわしい。離せ。帝をよほどお慕いしているのですね。
当たり前じゃない。何を言うの。
いえ、私はただ国母という立場を愛しているように見えましたので、リファ様と違って。
That's the fucking difference, idiot.
She's too sweet for this.
思っていたのね、シン。
Oh!
ジンシ殿、この次女頭は主に暴言を吐きました。私が手を出してしまうほどによってこの者を解雇します。
We're just gonna fire her. We're just gonna.
平手では足りませんか。ではこちらで。
お待ちください。
We're still trying to, like, what, save her? Like,
やるな。もう昔のリファ様じゃ。
God, I love her so much. Liwa's amazing.
継げるのを待つ儚げな女性はどこにもいない。
今後一切高級への立ち入りを禁じてください。
向上ある甘い処理だが、
I'm about to cry. Do you remember Liwa's will to live when she was frail? Mau Mau started out.
もう二度と二人が並び立つ日は来ない。
Oh.
what does this paint for Isla and Island, though?
平気ですよ。薄皮一枚ですし。
そういうものじゃないなぜ病人が物置にいると分かった？
ある程度目星はつけてましたよ。病気なので皆の寝床から離れた目立たない場所だろうと。それと目印があったので。
The flowers.
あの庭木が？
本来あの花はほとんど赤なんです。なのに白い花しか咲いていない。誰かが選んで植えたのでしょう。風水では緑と白の組み合わせは健康にいいそうですから。
なるほどな。
種に詰まっている白い粉が堕胎剤にも使われるんです。
So many things.
作り方さえ知らなければ害はありません。今日の香油と同じです。陳様はなぜ香油が堕胎剤になることを知っていたのでしょう。
That's the
Suri.
question.
キャラバンが持ち込んだ交易品が。
That education, you know?
問いただしたところで口を割るかどうかは分からんが、この高級の中に香油が堕胎剤となることを吹き込んだ人物がいると。
わかりません。ですが、用心するに越したことはないかと。
The spread of information, whether you can control it or not. Oh.
お白い花。
物置にいた子、どうなりました？
高級を出て治療を受けるそうです。リファ様の申し出だ。責任は自分にあるからと費用も負担するらしい。
Wow.
そうですか。
How meaningless her life was to Shin in comparison.
But it meant something to this other servant girl.
あの薬師が来ていたようだな。
はい、何でもご存知ですのね。
As he
彼
should.
女には助けられてばかりです。どうなさいました？
いや、
What? Okay, that was the Apothecary Diaries, Season 2, Episode 6. Oh my god, what an episode. Not a connection I was thinking was gonna happen. We had seen that she was the person, Shin, that threw away the note that Mao Mao had left in Episode 1 for Liwa, but to get the why of it was huge.
Yeah, I definitely was not thinking that this would be where we got the cousin parallel or the look-alike or family relationship parallel to Isla and Island. I thought that was more of like a what's going on with Shisui and Laolin and how we're theorizing about them being same person. I thought maybe those were the situations that were kind of having similar themes in the story. But they just ripped the rug out from under me and they were like, hey, we've had this here this whole time since literally season 1 and you had no clue.
Yeah. God. What? Okay. What do you think the Emperor's feelings were or thoughts were at the end of the episode?
Great question. I definitely have some feelings about this. Obviously, this episode 6, kind of had bookends that were a very serious expression on two different people's faces. The first one being, I'm gonna pronounce it Shen Lu, which is the clinic woman. She has a very serious expression looking at paper. We're like suspicious. Okay, is there malice here to her finding out that Mao Mao can make medicine or what's going on? And then we quickly learn that that's not the case. And there's not any reason for us to be worried here. But then we end the episode off with a character who I've always felt like I'm not suspicious of, you know? Like I'm not worried about him finding out things about Mao Mao.
The Emperor?
Yeah. Because we keep him in the loop with the fun little trickery we're doing, like the blue roses, and he knows, and he's even asked Mao Mao to nurse people back to health for him, and he is very aware of things from Jinshi. So I have had no reason to be worried about him learning about Mao Mao's talents or him having any ill feelings toward Mao Mao or starting to get suspicious of Mao Mao. I have never been worried about that. But if we're having the beginning of the episode be a character that we were like, oh no, is this gonna be a bad situation for Mao Mao? This character, Shen Lu in the clinic? And then we end with the Emperor giving the same expression when we've already cleared the first person of any suspicion?
Yeah.
as a viewer, then I feel like you're kind of saying, well, it wasn't that one, so it has to be this one that you should be worried about as a viewer.
Yeah, I get you. I have 3 interpretations of it.
I do have more, like, interpretations as well.
So, I have looking at the wine as its blood, which would, the idea of appreciation of what Mao Mao stopped, like the bleeding of an abortion, if that were to happen to Liwa, and that, like, holy shit, like, I'm listening to what Liwa's saying right now. She has done nothing but save her, and it is that, like, appreciation. My second thought is more of a fear of, like, you had just said that kind of quelled that anxiety of, like, yeah, Jinshi's telling him, right? Because of what their connection could or couldn't be, and that makes a lot of sense. But then, like, before you had said that, I was worried that there's somebody higher up that we don't know about yet that the Emperor also trusts that might have malicious motive, and they're like, ooh, this random apothecary who just showed up sure knows a lot and sure is, you know, like, that might be a risk. She's the perfect
scapegoat. She's the perfect person to pin what we learn is going on or we theorize is going on within the episode, which I don't want to get into yet.
My last idea of it is that he might be seeing the resemblance of Mao Mao's dad within Mao Mao's abilities and actions, and could be seeing, like, the exiling of him and, like, recontextualizing it and thinking about if that was the right move or not.
I think that that's an interesting thought. One of the ways that I was reading this is leads us to something else that we're probably going to talk about, which is the idea of, like, there being more evidence now than ever of intentional, like, malice in death of children of the Emperor. Like, we get in season 1 that there have already been a few children of the Emperor that have passed before the prince, you know, is even dying. You know, that this stuff has already been happening. And then with this episode, we're getting more and more evidence that people are intentionally either spreading information that could cause miscarriages or abortion medicine, or directly poisoning children that have already been born and killing them after they're born. I feel like you could read... I've always read him, at least until now, as a loving father, at least with how he treats his daughter and Gyokyu. And so I feel like I could read this as all of the thoughtless, all of the unnecessary death that he couldn't stop. You know, like, we have that idea, like, why would you want to put this makeup on your lady, this makeup that killed her own child? This idea of this, like, these parents, like, they want the best for their kids, they want their kids to live, but their ignorance is a crime in itself. And so I could read his expression here of, like, he hasn't been able to stop whoever the perpetrators are yet, and more death is still happening, or more death could have happened here. Like, Liha is probably pregnant, Gyokyu is currently pregnant, 2 of his loves are pregnant. Dangerous time period to be in, and he knows there's a threat.
I want to back it up a little bit. So we got 2 different outfit changes from Mao Mao this episode, right? One, obviously, in the blue that matches Liwa, looked great. But my preferred, probably because of the motive behind it too, was the disguise that she had.
With the shoes?
That was so brilliant. And I love it so much because it wasn't needed at all after the fact, right?
After the hindsight.
Like, but that's what makes it so good. And it was such a good revelation and a good moment. And I think that, like, I think that Shin probably would have been more composed at this accusation if not for Mao Mao stunning her and, like, putting her off kilter that early on in the episode.
That's so fair to think about. Like, I feel like Mao Mao only got so far into things going so smoothly because of the fact of the disguise. And like you said, like, stunning your enemy can do a lot of damage. They could end up tripping up and
she was like, I can't let this affect me, I can't let her get to me. And then what the fuck happened?
And then what happens is, once she's confronted in this room, she's saying all the right things, she's composed, but she is a little shaken, because I mean anyone would be, but she ends up slipping up with just admitting that she knew the servant girl had a fever, and that alone Mao Mao grabs onto.
And like, but
how'd you know that?
There's so much of it that it could have been twisted that it meant nothing, right? Like the idea of Mao Mao using just her own, like, smell, right? Like the idea of the perfume. You can respond to that and be like, okay, whatever, that's baseless. That, like, and then Mao Mao's gonna be like, oh yeah, but we can test this. Oh, you're right, I shouldn't have done that. We can get somebody else to. It's like this whole psychological mind game is so entertaining to watch. But another thing that I wanted to bring up was the doctor. I wish I knew his name and didn't just have to refer to him as Quack Doctor, but I forget.
It's kind of fun to refer to him as Quack Doctor.
The immediate reaction to him being, oh, it's him. Like, are we sure we want him? Like, because of the legacy that he now has after not being able to save Lady Liwa's baby.
You know what that makes me think of? He wasn't the one that was requested by the Emperor to go nurse Lady Liha back to health.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, I feel like maybe the Emperor himself, how much he's in on what happened to his original, baby with Alduo, whatever he's aware of in that instance that ended up getting Mao Mao's father kicked out of the rear palace, this is just another instance of, for him, that was a doctor not paying enough attention to his child because his father also had a child that needed to be looked at the same time. And how much he knows of, like, if his child's still alive or not is up for debate.
If that ends up being, like, a through line, like, with the point of what the Emperor's, like, gaze was, if it did have to do something with Mao Mao's dad, and it being, like, a wraparound to bringing up the Quack Doctor's, like, lack of trust here now, that would be a crazy stitch, story-wise.
I feel like the Quack Doctor goes along with what Shin has done within the Crystal Pavilion, which is hire incompetent people. Like, Shin purposefully hired ladies of high status, which obviously they probably should be of high status to some degree, but purposefully ones that are so much enamored with status and fashion and distracted by kind of material things and trivial things that they'd be ignorant to everything else.
Yeah.
And the Quack Doctor, we know him. We know the only reason he's in the position that he was in was to help his sister.
Yeah.
Was to help his family out. His family needed this. He didn't want one of his siblings to have to come here, so he decided to do this. But he's not really, like, competent at his job, and if anything, he's too nervous to be super good at his job. He's not decisive like Mao Mao is. Like, he doesn't even want to examine a corpse. We've already seen that, That shouldn't be something that's too scary for him if he's the rear palace doctor. Who gave him this position? Who offered it to him and said, oh, you want to come here instead of your sister to do a job? We'll make you the doctor.
Yeah, I get you. Interesting. Okay, I wanted to bring up two different quotes that really stood out to me this episode. The first being when Mao Mao was interrogating Shin, then it's no surprise that you have the smell of incense on you. Even though you had no such scent before, this is where it is. I can't overstep anymore. Steps forward. I know that, but sometimes I can get angry too. Like, seeing it really fucking, I don't know, like, it just pushed Mao Mao past that point was so rewarding.
When this moment started, I was like, are we gonna get another face powder incident?
Yeah.
But we're gonna open the bottle of oil and then, that's what I was first picturing. It was not that. I'm glad it wasn't, because also that oil should not be spilled in the same room as a pregnant person, just to be extra super duper safe.
Which is a great segue to the next quote that I wanted to do, because the oil was about to get spilled by Shin when she grabbed the box, attempted to throw it, and said, "May you rot childlessly in this garden, Liwa," before Goshin stops her. That was a chilling line. Jesus.
What was your guess in this moment of who was gonna stop her? Because my guess was that Mao Mao was gonna literally step in front of Lady Liha and get injured. More than just the scratch on her cheek that she received in this episode.
I thought it was gonna be Goshin. My number two, I thought Mao Mao was gonna step in front and, like, just take the brunt, like, and get, like, drenched in perfume.
Because she totally would.
Yeah. but I thought it was going to be Goshen.
Gotcha. I'm glad it was Goshen, obviously, because
He's my guy.
we even say in this episode, like, remember, Mao, you need to not act so recklessly. I think it was Yinghua who says it to her when they're getting the idea of the mission at the Crystal Pavilion. Like, hey, remember, you normally run in recklessly and don't, tell people things beforehand, like Jinshi or Gyokyu. I feel like that could be an example of, like, there she goes again, doing this thing where she gets majorly injured, like when she saved Jinshi from the falling thing from the sky.
Man, I said it during the episode, but I really did almost cry thinking back, like looking at the growth Liwa's gone through and how confident and how amazing she is, and thinking back to her withering away and Mao identifying that there is still a will in there to live. Like, God.
And I feel like what furthered that for her was someone identifying it in her.
Mhm.
Someone being able to look at her, though so sick that the incense was drowning out the sick, but once it's gone, you can smell it. And verbalizing it to her. I can tell you're eating.
Yeah.
That's a will to live. And I
Yep.
feel like that you were right to bring that up, like, during the episode, because that slap and what Mao is seeing from her is this. She's not this weak and timid person. She is someone that could potentially be the Empress someday, even though that is not the reason that she is in this garden,
Yeah.
that she wants to be here. They give a really amazing distinct difference between Shin and Luiha that it takes me kind of to Gyokyu in, like, the 3rd episode of season 1 of, like, being envious of someone else getting to be with the love of their life.
Mm-hmm.
They give this kind of difference between Shin and Luiha that is, one has a love for the title and one might have a love for the man.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could totally see that from Lady Luiha if that is true.
Yeah.
And it does kind of give me more questions of, like, how does Gyokyu feel?
Mm-hmm.
Because then if that is the case, I would obviously, if Luiha loves the Emperor, obviously the romance-minded person, like, I want the people that love each other to end up being together. But it's so political, like, who's gonna give birth to the prince? They're both pregnant now.
Yeah.
Whoever gives birth to the prince is probably the one that would become Empress Consort just by default of giving birth to the prince.
I just think both of them are in such a mature position now that they just want happiness at the end of the day,
They want their kids to be alive and safe. Like, that's, like, the priority, the happiness and safety. Yeah, but the slap by Luiha that she actually...
Oh my God.
But it's more than that. Her decision to save Shin wasn't a weak rollover, like, you can walk on me like I'm a doormat. It was a power move. It was I am above you. Because I think she even says, like, why are you speaking down to me? Like, before any of this even transpires. And here we have Luiha, like, really speaking down to her by saving her life. Like, you are so low, like, get out of my face now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so gracious. Like, I'm so not gracious. I'm so true to myself. Like, Luiha has a lot of love for herself here. I feel like she's not going to change who she is as the person that she is. She's not gonna, like, so willingly kill someone, especially a family member.
It's just a different level of maturity. Like, in the same way that, like, Shin obviously prioritized title, Liwa prioritized actual feelings, and that like it or not applies to Shin regardless of what Shin was doing.
Regardless of what she was doing.
And that was fucking sick.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, I have 2 more things.
I think I have 2 more things.
All right, let's trade off.
Okay.
My first thing is very small, but I absolutely adore watching shows that have very subtle details that are hard to track if you're an animator and they fucking do it, like, just flawlessly. The, like, when and where we get Mao's freckles from season 1 to 2 is just astonishing work, and I love it.
That's a good point. And something else that's subtle is one of my points, so I'll just, like, latch onto that and go ahead. I don't suggest we look for the scene now.
Okay.
But I'm so curious when it was that now we know that the quick 5-second scene we saw in one of the earlier episodes of this season was this servant girl sick in the shed with the box of the oils.
like
that Shin had been keeping.
You're so
And I don't know
right.
what episode it was in. I know it was a quick clip. I know it'll be hard for us to find right this second. But I am so curious what episode that was in, what was happening in that episode, what were we seeing of Shin maybe in that episode?
Yep.
Like, what else was going on?
It's
because I feel like we thought we already answered that question, or
Yeah.
at least thought that was not a throwaway, but that it was connected to something else.
I just love it so much because one of the hardest things to do, but the most rewarding things in storytelling is when you're able to end an arc or end a one plot and then have it flawlessly and seamlessly go into another. Apothecary Diaries does it so hauntingly well that you can't even tell it's happening at the time. It's wild. Also, the idea that we got, you just brought it up, the greenish eyes, right? Or like the eye color that was in Shin that we got the
eye color?
Yeah, that we pointed out this episode. Didn't we
Shen Lu. Do you mean Shen Lu? The clinic doctor?
Yes, sorry, Shen Lu. Greenish eyes. Is there anything to that?
I feel like we were just identifying that she was from the same region as Gyokyu.
Okay. Sorry. Early thought. I misread it.
Cool. So my last point is just to kind of end this discussion off of obviously an element that I actually had 2 more points. Both of these I feel like are good for an ending of where are we going to go from here sort of topic. One of those being the parallel being created by 2 cousins, 2 beautiful cousins. How could you choose which one is the one that would be paired with the Emperor? Obviously, when Mao Mao is envisioning Isla and Ailen, it's that Isla would be with the Emperor and
Isla's
Ailen would
Shin,
be with the brother.
Ailen's Lao, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I feel like what else are we setting up in terms of their dynamic, their power dynamic, personality dynamic, how that will affect the storyline going forward? We view maybe Isla as being a little more of like to be suspicious of. She seems to be a little more bold, a little more angry.
She's the Shin and Ailen is the Liwa.
Yeah, so I'm like, how is this gonna play out going forward? Is there going to be are they gonna come to a point of odds where one of them is like, hold up, I don't agree with what's happening? My last point is, who's teaching poison and abortion and drugs? Is it past information passed in from Suri to everyone else, or is there someone else that is teaching this information? Suri's been gone for a little bit, but the start of season 2 takes place like only like a few days after the end of season 1. So it is possible that this information had been given to people by Suri.
So I was gonna drop it because whatever, but you just brought it up again. So that was what I was trying to like. I don't think I'm right with it, but I think that's why I wrote it down. What color eyes does Suri have?
I think they're like a bluish color.
I was like trying in episode to like bridge medical knowledge. I know that this doctor, this woman, or sorry, not doctor, this woman was nothing but nice to us this episode, but it's interesting that we point out the green eyes. Is there some like genetic familial relation between Suri and the doctor? You know what I mean?
Like now I feel like I'm having like a Mandela effect where her eyes are bluish, I would say. Which could be that she is from somewhere else that is not directly here. Like a region like Gyokyu is from.
Well, the only scene that I managed to pull up with it was just 10 seconds of her eyes being closed. So we'll just drop that point. All right, you good?
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hope to see you next time.